I'm waiting for Facebook Live to go on here. What's going on? Hi, everybody. We still have a minute or two, so I just want to see if anybody is on. You can let me know. I'm trying to see it maybe on my phone. Are y'all here? Just kind of wanted to get on a minute or two before we actually start the live presentation. For those who are online, if you could send me a message. I'm looking to see if it's on my Facebook page. It might be premature here. I'm going to recommend that if you're online already, if you can get a pen and paper so you can take some notes. You might notice some things as I go through the presentation that apply to you, and might consider incorporating some of the foods that, great. Thanks, Jordan. I appreciate it. Glad to know you can hear me and everything is good. I'm recommending getting a pen and paper because part of the presentation, if you identify something that you that resonates with you in terms of your body constitution, I will be giving some food suggestions, just a number of different food suggestions that you may want to start incorporating into your diet if you identify with any of the body types that I'm going to be going over. It's 11:59, so we have about 1 minute to go. And I want to make sure that everybody's prepared to take some notes and give it a whirl. Okay. So hopefully you can still see me. I'm going to put it on my phone as well so we can maybe. Okay, so I have 12 o'clock, and so I'm going to begin. I'm going to be talking today about what is your body constitution and your body type, and what does that mean for you in terms of getting you to a place of good health. So I'm going to begin. My name is Karen, and I'm an acupuncturist and a dietitian, and I am one of the acupuncturists at the Michigan Associates of Acupuncture and Integrative Medicine. And hopefully we're going to be opening up soon, and we're going to get back to seeing our patients in person. But this has just been one of our ways of staying in touch with you and letting you know that we're here, and we still want to educate, we still want to be a part of your lives. So the concept of constitution is widely applied in the practice of traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM. Constitutional consideration is an important process for clinical diagnosis and treatment. In last week's Facebook Live presentation I discussed the concept of yin, yang, and qi, and the physical and emotional symptoms that are attributed to an imbalance of these. Today, I'm going to expand that and go into more detail, explaining 9 different body types. Traditional Chinese medicine considers that everyone's physical constitution is different. Your constitution, however, is much more than just your body shape. We're very focused on that in this country. Body constitution is the individual's body condition that makes a person susceptible to certain diseases, but not to others. TCM regards each person's constitution, and each person is unique. Both inborn and acquired factors affect our body constitution. And an understanding of our unique body constitution can guide us towards more effective treatment and disease prevention through lifestyle changes, diet and exercise, and how we live, which is especially true for acquired factors. A person's constitution is associated with inborn or genetic factors, and also postnatal or acquired influences. And these include your environment, your diet, even your profession, emotional influences, and relationships. TCM feels that inherited and acquired influences, each of us make us each unique in our structural, physiological, and psychological aspects. These individual characteristics combine to form body constitution that determines how we live and behave, and our susceptibility to pathogens like viruses, like this COVID virus even, and the onset of disease. Constitution is affected by a variety of inherited and acquired factors. So our constitution is influenced by our gender, whether a man or a woman. Men tend to have more yang or vital chi energy, while women tend to be more blood, represented by blood energy. Our age obviously influences our condition, and our body structures, function, and metabolism change as we age. Our mental state influences our condition, and it affects the activities of our internal organs, which can affect our body constitution. We've given a number of Facebook Live presentations, so you can go back to our Facebook page, where we have discussed actually how emotions affect different organs in our body, which eventually affect our health. And our living environment can affect our constitution, where we live, hot or cold, the products that we're able to get in our environment, our diet and living habits. All of these factors become primary concerns in TCM consultations. Body constitution varies from person to person, and you can see it in people that you know. Some people are really strong and vibrant, and some people are weak and frail. Some people always are hot and are fanning themselves or complaining of being hot, and some people always have a sweater or a sweatshirt on. So body constitution can be divided into 9 different types, which are generally classified based on the physical body, your personality, your common health problems, and your adaptation to the external environment and the weather. Acquired factors, which are postnatal, include, but are not limited to, diet, environment, the emotional state, and lifestyle. The genetic or inborn factors, on the other hand, are inherited traits which make us susceptible to certain diseases. Our inherited predisposition to disease cannot easily be changed. However, this is an important however, what we can control is how we manage our acquired factors, such as our diet and our exercise, which can ultimately influence our genetic or inherited potential for disease. A great example of that is diabetes, especially type 2 diabetes. TCM treatments are almost always based on the individual's unique condition at the particular time of getting sick. In other words, it is not cookie cutter medicine. It is tailor-made or specific to you as an individual. For example, even if 2 people were to contract the same disease, in TCM, we would look at each person as a unique individual and treat them according to their body constitution. So now I'm going to describe the body types, and you can see which most applies to you. Remember that as human beings, we are not unidimensional. So you will find that some of these body types apply to you, but there will be one where you lean more strongly in that direction. So when we assess patients, we have to take that into consideration too, that we're not unidimensional, and a person's going to lean in the direction of one body type, but may have some of the other ones as well. In light of that, take notes, see which body type you feel you fall into, and then you can write down some of the foods I'm going to recommend, and small changes can make a big difference. All right, I'm going to begin. The first body type is the neutral body type, which means that the yin and yang and qi and blood are all in balance. So a person who has a neutral body type will present as being physically fit and strong, will be emotionally stable, and pretty much have an optimistic life outlook. The skin and hair and eyes are bright and clear. The neutral body type has a good appetite and has normal, regular bowel movements, tends to sleep well, and does not complain of being hot or cold in particular. So there are not very many obvious diet recommendations, but whatever they're doing right, and they're eating a variety of foods. But it's important to note, even if you are neutral body type, that long-term poor eating habits will create an imbalance and eventual illness. The second body type, which I see quite a bit, is Qi deficiency. Remember, Qi from past Facebook Live presentations, your vital energy, your force, your healing energy. And those who are deficient or have weak Qi tend to have flabby or soft muscles, tend to be more introverted and timid, often present with feeble or weak voice, shortness of breath, hard to speak strongly, tend to complain of fatigue and catches colds and flu really easily, doesn't have a lot of natural immunity. Quite often, those with Chi deficiency will break out in a spontaneous sweat without exertion. If you look at their tongue, you'll see some scallops or teeth marks along the margin. Chi deficient patients tend to be sensitive to weather changes, and because of the relative weakness in immune functioning, those with Chi deficiency take longer time to recover from getting sick. So those who are Chi deficient, foods that are recommended to include more of, again, it's not about only eating these, it's about incorporating and adding some more of these to your diet now. To eat more cereals and grains, carrots and mushrooms, soybeans and peas. Potatoes and pumpkin are good for Chi deficiency. Some light proteins, apples, cherries, and cherries are coming into season in Michigan soon. Chestnuts, grapes. These are foods that are all light and easily digested. Those who have Chi deficiency or whose energy is weak should eat less citrus, should eat less onions and garlic, pepper, tea, and alcohol, which can be depleting. Chi deficiency means you're already somewhat weak and depleted. The third body type is Yang deficiency. Remember from last week, Yang is our warming, drying, upward energy. So those who are Yang deficient tend to have weak muscles, quite often are quiet and introverted in their personality, oftentimes complain about cold hands and feet and a cold feeling in their stomach, and will be uncomfortable after eating cold foods, tend to be sensitive to cold temperatures or even loud noises, tend to sleep poorly. And if you look at their tongue, it'll be pale and swollen and puffy. And those with Yang deficiency tend to have problems with swelling, diarrhea or loose stools, and excess throat secretions, more phlegm. So what we recommend for those who are Yang deficient, some diet suggestions to eat, because if your Yang energy is weak, it means you're going to be feeling colder, as I described in those symptoms. So you want to eat foods that have a warm energy and a slightly sweet and pungent flavor as well. So warming foods or spices like ginger or pumpkin, nuts, beef and chicken, chives, leeks, lamb or mutton is a really warm energy type of meat, cherry, raspberry, soups, and teas. You'll notice that there are foods in multiple categories because foods can be combined with other foods, and they're just not only one character or nature for the food. What's not recommended if you're Yang deficient, meaning that your warm energy is weak, is cold foods. And cold energy foods like shellfish tend to have cold energy, cucumbers and melons, raw salads, cold foods and beverages like smoothies, and foods that are really high fiber foods that are hard to digest, especially if you're already having frequent loose stools and diarrhea. The other thing is, if you are having diarrhea, is you do not want to have cold beverages, but you also don't want to drink liquid with your meals. You have an hour before, an hour after, you can have your room temperature water, but you already have enough intestinal fluid because you have diarrhea, so you don't want to add more with your food. That's just a little tidbit there. For those who are Yin deficient, meaning your cooling, moisturizing energy is weak, means you're going to be warmer. So people with Yin deficiency tend to have a thin body. They tend to be outgoing, but can be impatient in their personality. Will oftentimes complain about warm hands and the soles of the feet. The palms of the hands and the soles of the feet are warm, or dry mouth and nose. A tendency to have a preference for cold drinks. Often have dry stools or constipation, tend to be uncomfortable in hot, dry environments, oftentimes have a susceptibility to a dry cough, tends toward fatigue, insomnia, and some chronic conditions. And if you look at their tongue, it'll oftentimes be red, or there'll be a deep line down the middle of it, or it'll be somewhat peeled or geographic. Those with the deficiency, what the diet recommendations are to have cooling foods, or those with a bitter flavor like celery, mushrooms, kale, spinach, beans, melon, lettuce, watermelon, grapefruit, tomatoes, egg, duck, fish, pear, apple. Okay, and you want to eat less pungent, spicy, and fried foods. Why? Because you're already adding warm to warm. So if you're already feeling warm, you don't want to add injury to insult by adding more heat to your body. So alcohol is pungent and hot in nature, and other warming foods like gingers, peppers, and heavy protein should be eaten less. The fifth body type is the Phlegm Damp body type. And these patients tend to be overweight with a bigger tummy, tend to have a stuffiness in the chest and a kind of heavy, sluggish feeling in the body. Oftentimes will have a sticky or sweet taste in the mouth. And if you look at their tongue, you'll see a thick coat, greasy thick coat. Excessive throat secretions or phlegm production. Will oftentimes be sweaty. Tends to have a preference for fat and sweet foods. However, their personality is more mild, steady, and patient. Will be more uncomfortable in humid and rainy environments, and are susceptible to diabetes, metabolic syndrome, and cardiovascular diseases. So the diet recommendations for those who have a phlegm damp body is celery. Add more celery, can cook with coriander, eat spinach and radish, onion, carrot, cucumber, olives, barley is a really good grain, red beans, goji berries if you eat those, pears, papaya. Those are all really good for you. And to eat less greasy, fatty, and sweet foods. The sixth body type is the Phlegm Heat body type. So before it was Phlegm Damp, now it's Phlegm Heat. And a person with Phlegm Heat will oftentimes present as a normal or thin body shape, but will have an oily face that gets acne or pimples frequently. Oftentimes will wake up or have a bitter or metallic taste in the mouth, will be more irritable and short-fused with a short temper, easily frustrated, can feel heavy in the body. Bowel movements will feel incomplete or may have dry stools. Will have a tendency to ulcers, skin problems, and urinary difficulties, and quite often the urine is a dark yellow. Will have a greasy tongue coating, and because they're damp with heat, they'll be sensitive to humid, hot environments, especially late summer and early fall. Diet suggestions would be to include more tomatoes and beans and cucumbers, celery, cabbage, kelp or seaweed, watermelon, and bananas. Duck is a good protein for the phlegm heat. And eat less lamb. Remember I said lamb is a warm energy meat. You want to eat less ginger, chilies, chili pepper, and garlic. The seventh body type are those with blood stasis or blood stagnation, meaning the blood is not moving smoothly through your body. So oftentimes you'll see the face has a dull and grayish skin color. You'll see spots on the face or dark red lips, not like with lipstick, but naturally just kind of a purplish dark red lips. May have dark circles under the eyes. Will be impatient, short-fused, but also forgetful. Tendency to bleeding or bruising a lot. So that's something that we notice when we evaluate a person's body. If they have a lot of bruising, take a look at their personality. May have more varicose veins because the blood is stuck, so it's congealing. But also a person with blood stagnation could have abnormal growth in the body and general areas of body pain. Why? Because the blood is not moving and it's getting stuck. And whenever we have pain, it means that energy is stuck. So if you have pain here, it's not flowing smoothly through your body. And oftentimes pain that feels like a sharp stabbing, shooting pain. Diet suggestions: radishes, carrots, onions, celery, eggplant, mushrooms, papaya, peach, mango, green tea, and wine. Limit greasy, frozen foods. The eighth body type are those with chi stagnation, meaning your vital energy is just not moving very well. So individuals tend to be thinner, tend to be emotionally unstable, melancholy, or suspicious, tend to have mood swings. Anybody you know like that? Often present with a depressed mood or being nervous or anxious, maybe even timid, frequent sighing, that type of thing, and heart palpitations, susceptible to insomnia and intestinal issues, don't respond well to stressful situations. So you can kind of take note about people that you know and how they're responding. Tend to not like autumn, winter, and rainy seasons, and also susceptible to breast lumps for women. Diet recommendations for chi stagnation are radishes, onion, garlic, wheat, citrus fruit, seaweed, and kelp. And those with chi stagnation should limit their tea and coffee. The last body type is called the special constitution type. And these patients tend to have inborn weaknesses. They have an inherent sensitivity to drugs and food and smells, pollen, and environmental allergens. Often have allergies that affect the respiratory system. They develop nasal congestion, sneezing, runny nose, hives, itchiness, and even will present with purple spots or patches under the skin. Common health problems for these with inherent weaknesses are drug allergies, hay fever, eczema, and asthma. They tend to respond poorly to weather changes, and the seasonal changes can create more health issues. The diet recommendation for these patients is to eat a very light and balanced variety of foods. That's really the best, but also to include honey, carrots and mushrooms, more fish and tofu, eggs, apple, apricots are good, coconut, dates, lemon, and nuts. What you want to eat less of if you tend to have an inherent weakness are high protein foods, alcohol, chili or chili peppers, coffee, tea, and buckwheat. The criteria for selecting food according to the body constitution, the goal is to balance the body's yin and yang. For example, I've already explained this, but I really want the point to come home to you. That, as an example, a person with a hot constitution, meaning their internal heat predominates, should eat cold energy foods, right, to help reduce the internal heat. This helps balance the internal environment and the physical constitution to move you to balance and to more neutral constitution. The neutral constitution is a healthiest state. But remember that in reality, it's hard to classify into one specific body type because we as humans are complex and often present with a mixed type. For example, you could be yin deficient, meaning that your cooling, moisturizing, calm energy is weak, which means that you have more damp. So you can be yin deficient with the Phlegm Damp Heat. Or you can be chi deficient, your overall vital energy is weak. And you can also, because your chi isn't moving, you can accumulate damp. The chi can't move the damp through the body. You could have chi stagnation and blood stasis. So most people present with a mixed body type, but with one predominant one. What we do and what most people do when you come in for an assessment is we're the ones who can really assess what your body type is. But based on what I've given you, you can get a pretty good idea where to begin in terms of perhaps modifying your diet. It's also important to remember that a person's constitution is not constant and it's not unchangeable, because factors like environment or your mental state or your diet, your daily activities, and diseases can easily change your body's condition or your constitution. So for those who have unhealthy constitutions, we can take measures such like diet and exercise and lifestyle modifications to move the body to a more neutral and healthy site. Ultimately, We need to take control of our health, and looking at your body constitution is just one way to move you to a healthier way of being. We all are very well versed in Western Chinese medicine and nutrition. This is just another way that you could tweak your health. So I hope this helps you reflect on the choices you make in terms of your diet, and if they are consistent with your body type. You might be surprised at how small diet changes can make you feel better. Anyway, I hope you give it a try. Feel free to give me feedback and let me know what you think and what has worked for you. And I wish you a healthy week. Take good care. Wishing you all the best. Bye.